Hello, and welcome to another episode of Living Well with Dr. Mike. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Cockrell, and I want to thank you so much for joining me for this module here today. Today we're going to be asking the question about whether or not you need to be taking vitamin D. By this point in time, most of you that are listening to this have probably heard about vitamin D. You're aware that there are some health benefits, and I'm going to sort of update you on some of the more common research and some of the ideas and some of the things that you may not even know about the importance of vitamin D. So, when we look at vitamin D deficiency, it has become pandemic in the United States. But many Americans are not aware that they're actually lacking this important nutrient. In fact, if you look at the data out there, as many as 85% of the people in the United States are either low or deficient in vitamin D. Now, most people are asking the question, wow, I haven't heard that, and what in the world is vitamin D in the first place? Well, vitamin D is, despite the name vitamin, it's not really a regular vitamin. It's not just a single nutrient that you get in there. It's actually a steroid hormone that you're mainly going to get either from sun exposure, where your body can naturally convert more vitamin D, or from supplementation. And the fact that it's a steroid hormone puts it at work in many, many, many conditions, as we're going to see in just a minute. It also is that when it's a steroid hormone, it gives it its ability to actually influence genetic expression in your body, and that's what produces many of the benefits you get. It's almost, I like to tell people, it's almost like vitamin D is this little a steroid hormone, and it's a booster for all the other hormones that are circling around in there. It sort of helps everything work more efficiently sometimes. There is a huge growing body of evidence. In fact, I've reviewed a number of research articles in preparing for this showing that vitamin D is essential for disease prevention, and it's essential for optimal health. Let's look at this list for just a minute. Low levels of vitamin D have been linked now to fatigue, osteoporosis, chronic bone and joint problems, increased risk of diabetes, and increased risk of hypertension, heart attack, and stroke. In fact, vitamin D, when you look at the effects on high blood pressure, atherosclerotic heart disease, heart attack, and stroke, one study showed that vitamin D deficiency increased the risk of heart attack by 50%. So that if you're low in vitamin D, you are setting yourself up for major disaster. You throw in the fact that you may have diabetes, that you may have already had a heart attack, that you may have high blood pressure, and it gets to be a significant increase. What's worse, they found that if you have a heart attack and your vitamin D deficiency, your risk of dying from that heart attack creeps up to close to 100%. Now that's worth looking at. The other things that we find with low levels of vitamin D is that it plays a role in inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. Vitamin D is a potent immune modulator, and that makes it very important in the prevention of autoimmune diseases, especially things like multiple sclerosis and inflammatory bowel disease. In one study, based looking at multiple sclerosis, they found that increasing vitamin D levels to high doses, that's 10 to 20,000 IUs a day, which you don't need to do that unless you are doing that under the watchful eye of your physician, seem to help alleviate or significantly reduce the effects of MS, multiple sclerosis. It's been linked to infections. It has also been linked now to more than 16 different cancers. So, low levels of vitamin D is going to increase your risk of pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, and a whole host of other ones. And they think that that has to do with vitamin D's influence in the DNA repair process. So, we're still, the verdict's still out on a lot of the reasons why we're seeing this, but the evidence is overwhelming that vitamin D plays a significant role in protecting your long term health. So, when it comes to paying attention to this, you want to go ahead and start looking at where your vitamin D levels are. And so most people know, "Oh, how do you know if you're even low?" Well, the best way to know is to have your physician or your healthcare provider test you for 25 hydroxy vitamin D. This simple blood test can be an insight into a whole host of prevention and healthy living um, lifestyle changes that will keep you well, healthy, and happy for a long time. You know, when we look at optimal levels, the data out there shows that optimal levels, typically based on the evaluation of healthy populations, seems to be around 50 to 70 nanograms per mil. Like I said, if you have already have an underlying condition that's aggravated by vitamin D, you may need more than this, but for someone who is generally healthy, you need to sort of target your levels to be around 50, 60, 70 nanograms per mil. It never ceases to amaze me how many people that I test in my clinic who have levels that are less than 20, less than 30 for sure. And normally, a normal range runs from about 32 to 100, so anything below 32, 33 is typically considered deficient. And so vitamin D deficiency is rampant. Vitamin D being suboptimal is affecting tons of us. The next question that I deal with most of the time when I'm looking at vitamin D is, do I really need a supplement? Now, in my opinion, and the opinion of many of the authors that I have read, appropriate sun exposure is probably best. However, I will tell you, I have a ton of patients in my clinical practice who get plenty of sun exposure each and every day of their life. They may work in construction, they may work outside. They're outside for, well over typically an hour or two each day in direct sunlight, and their vitamin D levels are still extremely low. So don't just assume because you've been outside or you work outside or you have a job that gets you some sun exposure that you are actually converting to your vitamin D, because you may still be low or deficient even though you're getting appropriate sun exposure. If you're not getting good sun exposure and your levels are low, you may want to expose yourself to God's great sun and see if it boosts you up. If not, you're going to need a supplement. And typically, you're going to need somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 international units daily of a vitamin D supplement. So that means that you are typically going to have to add a vitamin D specific supplement. You're not going to get it when you take a vitamin that has calcium plus D or a multivitamin that has D. You're probably only getting somewhere between 200 and 400 international units, and you're going to need at least 10 times that if you're going to actually boost your vitamin D level. So when it comes to supplementation, again, you want to coordinate this with your physician or your healthcare provider so that you guys can check levels. Because I will tell you, when it comes to vitamin D supplements, some of them don't work. They're, especially over the counter supplements in general, are notorious for being poor quality. They're notorious for not having the ingredients in them that they need to have in them, and we'll talk about that in another segment of Living Well with Dr. Mike. But just suffice it to say that pick your supplement, and what I'll encourage my patients to do is to get on a supplement for about 3 months, 90 days, and then come back. If you know your vitamin D level is low, come back in after about 90 days of being on that supplement and retest your vitamin D level. You can at least see if you're moving in the right direction. If your level has gone down or hasn't changed, you need to change your supplement, because it's typically an issue of poor quality, and you want a good quality supplement if you're going to make effective changes in this area. When you're taking a vitamin D supplement, there's a ton of research out there that indicates that it's important to also have a little vitamin K2. Now, it's pretty easy to get vitamin K2. It's typically found in most all multivitamins, but in particular, it comes from meat, chicken, eggs. There's a whole host of areas that you can get vitamin K2. So it's easy to get in your diet. And if you're looking for solutions, take a look in. If you're in the Living Well with Dr. Mike online course right now, watching this video, I'm going to have a PDF document in your supplement section, the attachment sections of this course, so you can learn more about how to get your vitamin K2, and also I'll have some links in there for a good quality, some information about a really high quality vitamin D supplement that you may want to take a look at. And then finally, if you're not in this course, I would encourage you to go to www.livingwellwithdrmike.com. Click on the link at the header of that website to access my Living Well with Dr. Mike online course and get started in that course, because in that course I'm not only giving you the information you're getting here, I'm adding a lot of PDFs. You're going to have MP3s. You're going to have some additional resources available to you there that I can't attach to this video. So be sure to take advantage of that and join us there as well, so that we can help educate you about vitamin D. So I hope this information has been beneficial. I hope that you understand the importance of taking a look at where you're at when it comes to vitamin D levels. You need to know your vitamin D level, in my opinion, especially with the increased risk of health conditions that we're seeing attached to low levels of vitamin D. It's important to understand where you're at, and then it's important to realize that you can fix that sometimes with a simple supplement that you start taking each and every day, and that may reduce your risk of heart attack, reduce your risk of stroke, reduce your risk of diabetes, increase your energy and help you feel better. Certainly going to help reduce your risk of chronic osteoporosis and long-term chronic bone and joint problems. So get started today. Check out your number. Talk to your primary care provider about this information. If you think you're low or deficient, go get it looked at. It may save your life. So that being said, if you need more information about what we're doing here at Living Well with Dr. Mike, I invite you to join us on our website at www.livingwellwithdrmike.com. I also invite you to join me on Facebook at facebook.com/Living Well with Dr. Mike. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to get your feedback on whether or not this information is beneficial to you. More importantly, I'd love to know more about what kind of issues you're dealing with, you're struggling with, so that I can more appropriately target those issues, get you some answers, because I love to learn and educate myself, and when I do the research, I'm going to be sharing it with everyone who needs that. So I look forward to seeing you later on. If you're in the course Living Well with Dr. Mike, I look forward to seeing you in the next module. If you're not, I invite you to take a look at that course, get started with us today, and we will keep you up to date on as many things as we can that are going on in health and wellness, so that we can create a life of health and happiness together as we move forward. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.